Salutations, everybody. Welcome to our Star Wars Rebels recap show here on Collider Video, breaking down and talking about the latest episode of Star Wars Rebels. I am one of your hosts today. My name is John Campea, and I'm very excited. I really like this episode, which you will see quite a bit here in just a little while. But I first want to go around the table, introduce the people co-hosting with me, sitting over here.
Grand Moff Griffin here, David Griffin. Thanks for just happy to be here again. Excited to be here.
Over here on my right,
I am Kristian Harloff, and I host Jedi Council, but I'm here today to talk about Rebels. Let's get into this thing.
I like the glass. That's good. Wait, is that mine?
No, it is not.
Oh, it's not, because I think I have one exactly like that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know what? I think Ray stole it. Anyway, we're here to talk about Episode 6 or 208 or whatever it is you want to call it, Blood Sisters. Here on this week's episode, I will lead us off and just to give you an overview of what we do here. We're going to talk about things we really liked about this episode. We're going to talk about some of the things we maybe didn't love about the episode. We're going to probably speculate a little bit about what might be coming up in the future and how it all ties into everything else. So I will lead us off on this one about the things I liked about this episode. The reason I said movie is because this episode had the most feel of a movie that I think any of the episodes have so far this season, save for the season premiere, the Siege of Lothal, which I thought was very cinematic in scope. This just felt that way. The tension, the racing against the clock, even just that scene when she's trying to get her off the ship in time before they break the hatch seal and all that kind of, it just had that Star Wars tension and dramatic action going on that I really enjoyed. I really liked some of the early exchanges between, do we determine it's Ketsu? Ketsu. Between Ketsu. I thought those exchanges were really, really good. I enjoyed, the space stuff. I enjoyed always seeing Imperial stuff going on. And I just thought the tone of the episode was really great. Also, one of the weak things I'll say about Rebels as a whole is quite often their laser blaster fights often feel very cut and paste, and I never feel like anything's at stake in them most of the time. I thought in that hangar bay, when the blaster fight broke out between the stormtroopers and our heroes, and Ketsu included in that, it was the first time that a laser fight going on the ground drew me in, and I felt that it was choreographed really well. I enjoyed that. So there's actually a whole bunch I really enjoyed about this episode. But Kristian, what about you? You had a chance to see this episode. What are things that stand out to you that you really liked about it?
As far as what I really liked, and we'll get into this later, but the funny thing is that this is probably my least favorite episode of the season.
Really?
Yeah, but
I seriously, I would have swore. I thought you were going to like it more than I did.
Yeah, we'll get into that second part of it in a bit. But as far as what I did like, I like that, and I'm going to keep saying this every time they do it, where Dave Filoni said they're going to explore more about past histories and development of characters, and you certainly got that from Sabine. That's why I was very excited to watch this. Sabine's one of my favorite characters on the show. We got to learn a little bit more about the fact that she was a bounty hunter, and I liked the back and forth with her and Ezra, where Ezra was like, all right, well, that makes sense that you're a bounty hunter. And then, the relationship that she certainly had with Ketsu, that to me was, we're getting more into it about what she was and the stakes, and I thought that at the very end we saw the first time we've ever seen Alderaan in Star Wars history. That's at least I thought that was Alderaan, because they had said that they were going to the whole passkey with the whole password thing with it's a long way to Alderaan. I thought that was cute. It was pretty funny. And then once they get there to deliver the droid, and there's R2 waiting, and there's deliver these to
Senator Organa,
which I assume he's at home on Alderaan, because they fly in, see this beautiful planet. I've been waiting to see Alderaan, and I'm like, no, stay there, and then they fly away. So yeah, and there was what Sabine does best when they were cornered by the Empire, and she had to work together now with Ketsu, and she was able to strategize, and she loves blowing things up, and she did it well in this one. So those are the things that I enjoyed.
What about you, David?
For me, I'm with Kristian. This was my least favorite episode. So
I'm surprised. I'm really surprised.
John, during your description, I wish I could see that episode through your eyes, because I was enjoying hearing your description of this episode. But no, there were some good moments on this. It's great seeing Sabine. We're getting her story. I love the little tidbit about them escaping from the Imperial Academy together. Right. They're in the Imperial Academy. They escaped. There's history there. I don't know if Disney would take this far. It's on Disney. I couldn't help but wonder. I wonder if there's a romance there. I don't know if they'll go there, because this is Disney, I don't know if they'll do that, but I felt between Ketsu and Sabine that there may be a little history, even though they kind of teased this awkwardness with Ezra, and I think he said, "Oh, I've heard so much about you," or something like that, and Ezra gets all weird, like maybe Sabine might like him, but I felt like there was much more of a connection between Ketsu and Sabine, even though they could just be friends. Also, the fight when they're fighting each other in the ships, when she shot the door to the ship, and then let all the what do you call it, the vacuum was created.
Right.
They're all getting sucked out, and she knew what move she was going to do, but she was still too late for it because they know each other so well. I buy their relationship. I want to know more about it. It's just the episode as a whole didn't pay off for me in the end.
Well, I'll say the other thing that I really liked was the mention of Bloodwatch. The Bloodwatch, if you guys were Clone Wars fans, was a big storyline during that season with the Mandalorians, and that just what they've done. I mean, the Emperor talked about them. That's how big that they were.
We know we're getting more Mandalorian stuff down the road.
Yes. The fact that they mentioned the crime syndicate again and bringing that back, because it's only been 15, 20 years, and it was hard for the Jedi and everyone to wipe them out, the Blood Watches, or end them anyway. So it makes sense that they're still around in some form or fashion.
It's funny because one of the other things that I really enjoyed they brought up was the Black Sun.
That's what I meant. I've seen Bloodwatch, Black Sun.
If you have followed any of the extended universe stuff now known as Legends, like Black Sun is a device that has been just woven through all of the EU stuff and is now officially canon and all that. It will be very, very interesting to see. Like, I believe in the EU, like one of the big Darth Maul storylines was like one of his trials, one of Darth Maul's Sith trials was Palpatine sends him to wipe out Black Sun.
Right.
Single-handedly go wipe out Black Sun, right? Yeah. And so it'll be really curious to see what parts of EU do they keep and do they use in the story of what the Black Sun is moving forward?
I think they're playing more off the Clone Wars. That's what I meant.
I agree with you too. Yeah. I think they will play more off the Clone Wars, but still it'll be interesting to see how much they borrow and how much they don't, all that kind of stuff. We may never hear them referenced again on Rebels itself, but it is very interesting that they're even bringing it up here. I thought that was cool.
I don't agree. I actually think that because they mentioned Black Sun, I think that we are going to see them. I think there's going to be something that ties in there too, because remember, this isn't going to end with sunshine and rainbows, and something's going to happen. And I think the Mandalorian history is going to be part of what brings Sabine either away from the Rebels permanently or temporarily. We don't know, but I want to see what happens, what has happened with the Black Sun since the days of the Clone Wars. So this is a very interesting way that Dave Filoni loves to go back into his Clone Wars past. If it makes sense, he doesn't just throw it in there to throw it in there. If it makes sense for the story, he does it. So it was nice to hear them reference last night.
I liked how Sabine said, like, "Oh, this could have so easily been me." When talking about Ketsu, like that could have been her past. So again, I know we're getting some Mandalorian stuff later on down the road, so I hope we get more of her background. Like, why did they leave the Imperial Academy together? What, caused them to do what they did? One goes to the Black Suns, one goes to the Rebel Alliance. Right. There's still a lot of gaps to fill in, so I hope we get more episodes like that down the road.
Now, I'm sure you guys might do more than me on this, but it is time for us to talk about things that we didn't like so much about this episode. And I will once again lean us off, because as much as I did enjoy this episode, there were a couple of glaring things to me that stood out. One is a little bit of inconsistency. This history between Sabine and Ketsu felt like... How old were they when they were bounty hunters? 10? 8? How old? I mean,
Sabine does seem young.
Yeah, Sabine seems... I mean, she's not Ezra young, but I'm like, it felt like they had almost like a Riggs and Murtaugh history.
Remember, Boba Fett was a young bounty hunter.
Well, I mean, that's true as well. But then how much time has passed since one left each other for dead? Right. How long has she been with, Hera and all on that ship? It just seems a little odd with the timing. Here's the other thing. I could not buy into the bonding between Ketsu and Sabine because, just earlier, a few minutes earlier, Ketsu was no problem. I don't want to do this, but pulled the trigger to kill her and blow her out of space. So then 5 minutes later... Because she says, "I forgive you, and I remember when we were friends. Okay, I give up on everything else, and I'm going to be loyal." Like, you just tried to murder her. You just tried to kill her. And so I just couldn't buy into the bonding stuff that they tried to suggest that came a little bit later on. But by far, the biggest problem I had with this episode, and you guys might think this is funny, but is this. There is a scene where Ketsu says, "You're getting soft. You came back just for this droid." And she goes, "No, Chopper's more than a droid. He's a part of our cause, and he's a friend." The anthropomorphic, characteristics that they bestow, that, hey, to her, and to, I guess, people in the rebellion or whatever, droids, and as we as Star Wars fans have come to know R2-D2 and C-3PO, not as physical machines, but they are characters, they are friends, right? So in one breath, she's saying, of course I will risk myself to save Chopper because he's a friend, he's a part of the rebellion. 2 minutes later, there's this totally innocent ship captain droid who's just doing his job, trying to just minding his business, doing his thing, seems pretty friendly too. And Sabine murders him.
Was
She
it
didn't know
like,
him.
Was it
She
like
didn't know
Chopper,
him.
take him out?
Yes, she murders him, blows him out of the sky. Oh, things are getting a bumpy. Oh no, what's going on?
Right.
Boom, blows him out of the sky. But Chopper, well, he's a friend. That's okay. That didn't sit right with me.
I will tell you what. I will thank Sabine for that because who was that? Johnny Cab from Total Recall? That guy was horrible.
Did you recognize him?
No, who was it?
He's the same ship captain that they use in Disneyland on the Star Tours ride.
Yeah, okay.
least the same
I've actually
model.
never
They
done.
blew him
I've
up.
actually never. Yeah.
They murdered him.
Yeah, but she didn't know him. So
He's expendable.
that was definitely one of my problems. Was like I said, the Johnny Cab droid that was annoying, but he got his. And the other thing was as far like they prequeled us for a second too because Chopper's out there floating in space and then he R2-D2's the jets. And it's like okay, if he's got the jets, it's the same question we had. It's like, it worked.
Has he not used them before though? I thought he used them in season
he's
1.
Look, he's got it right.
Yeah.
It's in the poster and everything too. But I don't know. I just have a bad taste in my mouth from R2.
But remember though, if you remember from Phantom Menace, like one of those R2 units' responsibilities is go to the exterior of
I
ships,
know.
make repairs. So
I
it kind
can
of
get,
makes sense.
I
they
can
would
get
have
over.
those
I can get over
blasters.
that one. But there was some of the dialogue to me between Sabine and Ketsu was a little. I don't know. It just wasn't the best written episode. I felt some of the dialogue just felt very. It was the fear that everyone had about Rebels in the first place that hasn't been true. Was that it's going to be so kiddish, and this felt really kiddish to me at times. And you like that laser fight between the stormtroopers.
The blaster, yeah, I did.
I thought it was horrible
Oh,
because
no,
for
really?
me because it just showed the stormtroopers are becoming like the battle droids. They might as well say Roger, Roger. They are not a threat anymore. They're like the walkers on The Walking Dead. It's like there's nothing about them anymore that I mean, it's like I can't wait for episode 7 because like, okay, stormtroopers are actually a threat because these guys are idiots. Like the fact that Ketsu can take out 5 of them by herself. It's like I get you're a bounty hunter, but you got to then that means that if they ever go up against like an Inquisitor or if they ever turned against an Inquisitor, so the Inquisitor would take out 1,000 of them, or if Ahsoka fought 40 stormtroopers all at once, and that wasn't the case. Like Obi-Wan and Luke, they couldn't take out 40 or 50 stormtroopers by themselves. So that's
a good point.
It was just that type of stuff to where it's. I don't want them to get lost in the perfect balance is that it is for kids and it is for those hardcore Star Wars fans. And so it just felt really kind of cheesy for me for some reason, even with some of the stuff Ezra was saying as well too.
Well, there's just more time this season too. We're at almost we're 22 episodes this season. They're spreading it out. We're only getting a half hour at a time. We talk about this every week about the time. And I think if this was maybe together with another half hour, it wouldn't have been as bad. But after the end of the episode, John, I just didn't feel the tension there. I just kind of felt like this is just kind of it felt a little fillery, even though I know they were delivering some kind of vital information to Alderaan, which we don't know what that is yet, and I'm sure that'll play a factor later on.
Right.
I just wanted more. I'm so happy that we got Sabine, some more backstory with her. I've been asking for that. I've been asking for Hera. We got that last week with Hera. This week, Sabine. We know more is coming, but I think that's just the thing. It just needs more. It just really felt this episode felt weak to
I think
me.
you
It
could have just
felt
done
weak.
the episode with just with her. I mean, look, the character of Ketsu was fun, but I think you could have done this episode like a mission to get this droid to Alderaan with both Sabine and Ezra, who still have a relationship on their own to develop, whether or not it's romantic or whatever it's going to be, and you could have still learned a lot about Sabine in that. Being a bounty hunter and all that stuff, and I don't know how Ketsu's going to wind up playing down the line.
Because you see when after she got done
she'll be
talking to
back.
Hera, she was like,
Right.
and then she left. Like Hera said something about being a rebel or whatever,
Right.
and then she's like, maybe
she'll be
that's
she'll be
interesting.
back.
She'll be
Yeah,
back. at
she'll,
some
she'll join
point.
the team, I'm sure.
One of the things too, we were talking about this off camera, is that 2 minutes into Ketsu showing up. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. Once she took the helmet off, I instantly recognized that voice. I mean, That's the voice of Serenity. That's Gina Torres.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool hearing
Nice nod.
Yeah, it was really nice having her in there. I think that's great. And I do love her voice. She's got a very distinct voice that you can pick out right away. Another problem I had, and this is unfair. This one's unfair because it has nothing to do with the episode, sort of. I complained about it last week. No Kanan. No Kanan. We don't even see Kanan this one. Like, even for a moment, I am starting to really feel the dry feeling in my mouth from lack of Kanan in the last number of episodes.
That's a good thing, though. I think I said that last week too. I think that's
you don't want to do that too much.
No, I know, but I think you're going to get him probably. If not, remember we're coming up to that 45-minute or hour episode pretty soon before they go on like a 3 or 4 week break. And don't be surprised if Kanan is the full focus of whatever that 45-minute episode is. They know how popular it is. They know how he's like the main. He's the one really driving. He's the one that really gets us into the Jedi. I mean, at this point, he is the last of the Jedi. At this point, I mean, they don't know about Yoda. So there's more that's going to come there because you don't want to crap out the fact that he's still training Ezra, and that's going. And when we talked to Freddie Prinze Jr. on Jedi Council, there are more trials and tribulations to come.
We know a lot of Kanan stuff is coming. I just think they're making a mistake by giving us like 3 episode stretches where we get very little, or in some cases, no Kanan. But we'll see how that kind of unfolds a little bit later on. Okay, let's get into a little bit of speculation then. After watching, now we're 6 episodes in to the season proper, 8 if you want to count Siege of Lothal. Now that we've seen this most recent one, David, let's start with you. A little bit of speculation, what you think might be coming a little bit later down the line.
I still think I'm waiting for a reveal. I want to see one of the Jedi. I think maybe we might get Obi-Wan at some point. I think we might get a scene on Tatooine at some point in the future where we're gonna have to go down there for some reason, because in the comic books he's not moving. He's staying there. He's kind of a hermit. He's hiding out. But I think something might draw them to that location. We saw Alderaan. They're starting to expand the universe. It's already a big universe, but we're seeing locations that are familiar to the Star Wars canon. I think Tatooine's going to play a part at somewhere down the road, and Obi-Wan's going to be involved in that.
There's a great tie-in possibility here as well, because remember,
I have no proof of that. I haven't.
But it makes sense. It makes sense because if you think about this, Star Wars: A New Hope opens with what? It opens with Princess Leia trying to get these battle plans to General Kenobi on Tatooine. She knew where he was.
Yeah.
Right.
She knows where he is.
Yeah. Right.
And now, you could make an argument that maybe at the end of the final Star Wars movie with Revenge of the Sith, maybe he let Senator Bail Organa know where he was going, but I don't think he did. So there's a story to be told here that you could tell in Rebels about Obi-Wan coming out of hiding for a bit just to reveal himself to Rebels, and somehow he's got to reveal to somebody about where he is, because somehow Princess Leia knows at the beginning of Star Wars where to send these plans to. What do you think?
It's tricky, though, because you can't call him Obi-Wan.
No, that's true.
Because Obi-Wan.
Old Ben.
Kenobi.
Old Ben.
Yeah, I mean, because he hasn't been called Obi-Wan in a long time. So I don't know. I think if you see Obi-Wan, it's going to be the same way that you saw him. I think eventually you'll see him, because they even set that up in Siege of Lothal, like where Vader's looking for Kenobi. But
he's got a hard on for Obi-Wan.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen until this Ahsoka thing is out, because
good point.
Because Vader's, because the second they start sniffing around Obi-Wan, Vader is going to catch some wind of it as well, because he doesn't. And once we get to New Hope, it's a presence he hasn't felt in a long time either, since walks away. So it's a matter
since last week on Rebels.
Yeah, since last week on Rebels. But for me, as far as what I think is going to happen, going back to what we were just talking about with Kanan, I think we're going to start getting a lot more with Kanan. We set up a lot. There's a lot of backstory that we got from our characters, and that's what we wanted to do. We've already kind of gotten Zeb's backstory in season 1, where he was at. And we got a little bit of Hera this season already. Now we've gotten Sabine, and now I think it's back to going with Kanan, and we've got to find out what's going on with Ahsoka. And then you're going to see you got the brother and the sister that were reintroduced. They've got to come into play again, because I don't know how many episodes it was last season where the Inquisitor was there, and then you wouldn't see him for a little bit, and then he popped back in. That was about 2-3 episodes where he would pop back in because he was so devastating. I think you're going to start seeing the stuff that we really love about Star Wars with the Jedi and the Inquisitors and the Sith.
What do you think? Ahsoka said she needed questions that need answering.
Yeah.
Like, where do you think she's going for these answers? Is what I want to know.
Question. Yeah.
I wonder where she's going.
Like, I mean, it's a good question about does she know Yoda's still alive?
Right.
Yoda communicated through the Force with Kanan last season.
Last season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
last season.
Near the end in the temple. So has Yoda been in communication with Ahsoka? I mean, these are big questions, because if she has been in communication with him, then maybe she's going to go seek him out to try to figure out what the hell is Anakin still alive. And they still haven't definitively answered. I believe that moment in the ship, she knows that Sith Lord is Anakin.
Yeah.
I think she knows. But as a lot of people have pointed out, accurately so, the show has not definitively said she does. She just might be freaked out that that's a very powerful Sith Lord and not know it's Anakin.
When I spoke to Ashley Eckstein, who plays Ahsoka, she didn't have a clue if she knows or not. She thinks that she doesn't know, because she doesn't want to believe that Anakin could be Darth Vader.
Right.
Dave Filoni certainly kind of hinted on the lines of she may know. She might not.
Because Anakin knew that was her. So, I mean,
Yeah.
he's a little more powerful than she is, but who knows which way that's going to go. All right, folks. Well, the most important thing here is, what did you think of this week's episode of Rebels, and where do you think things are going to go? Jump into the comments section and comment on any or all the topics that we brought up here today. We want to hear what you have to say. That will do it for us for this installment of Star Wars Rebels here on our Collider Recap Show. I want to thank the guy sitting at the table with me. Of course, over here, David. David, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at GriffinDE, and right here every Tuesday on the Flash Recap Show along with John Campea.
And over here on my right, he is the Lord of the Sith himself, Kristian Harloff. Where can people find you?
Well, you can find me every Thursday on Collider Jedi Council with Mr. John Campea and Mark Ellis, and we take your questions. So hashtag Collider Jedi Council. We have a lot of stuff we're going to talk about this week, and you can follow me at Kristian Harloff on both Twitter and Instagram.
And, of course, you can follow me on Facebook and on Twitter. It's just simply at John Campea. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you on Rebels next week. Bye-bye.